The impossible test subject. The warning that echoed through Space Commander Zethkar's scaled fingers trembled as he read the radiation measurements for the 100th time. The planet Caridian 4 glowed with deadly energy even from orbit, its surface scarred by the nuclear war that had consumed 2 civilizations 3 centuries ago. The reptilian commander had seen many worlds die during his 40 years of service with the Galactic Scientific Alliance, but nothing compared to the radioactive wasteland spinning slowly beneath their research station. "The readings haven't changed, Commander," Dr. Milani buzzed, her insectoid wings creating a nervous hum. The physicist's compound eyes reflected the orange glow of the monitoring screens. "Surface radiation levels remain at 847 Roentgens per hour. Even our most advanced protective suits would fail within minutes." Zethkar's tail lashed against the metal floor. 3 expeditions had already failed. The crystalline explorers from Vega Prime had lasted exactly 4 minutes before their silicon-based bodies began to crack. The radiation-adapted marsh dwellers from the Gamma sector had managed 8 minutes before cellular breakdown forced emergency evacuation. Even the legendary Ironhide warriors, whose metallic skin could deflect plasma weapons, had retreated after 15 minutes of exposure. Yet, the mission remained critical. Caridian 4 held the key to understanding how civilizations could recover from nuclear catastrophe. Somewhere beneath that radioactive hell lay the remnants of advanced technology that could help other war-torn worlds heal. The Galactic Council needed that information desperately, especially with 3 other systems facing similar threats. The volunteer. Nobody expected. The communication panel chimed with an incoming message from the human transport vessel, Resilience. Zethkar sighed, expecting another excuse for delay. Humans were notorious for their caution when it came to dangerous missions, though their diplomatic skills made them valuable allies. "Commander Zethkar," came a calm female voice. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez requesting permission to board your station." "Permission granted, Dr. Vasquez. I assume you're here to discuss alternative approaches to the Caridian mission?" A pause, then something that sounded suspiciously like laughter. "Actually, Commander, I'm here to walk on the surface. I believe I can handle the radiation levels." Dr. Milani's wings stopped humming entirely. Even the normally stoic commander felt his blood temperature drop several degrees. No organic being could survive on Caridian 4, not even for minutes. The human was either insane or catastrophically misinformed about the dangers. 20 minutes later, Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped through the airlock. She was smaller than Zethkar had expected, with dark hair streaked with premature gray and weathered hands that spoke of years working with dangerous materials. Her brown eyes held a calm confidence that seemed completely at odds with her apparent death wish. "Dr. Vasquez," Zethkar began carefully, "I fear there has been some miscommunication. The surface radiation on Caridian 4 would kill any known organic life form within minutes. Perhaps you could assist with data analysis instead." Elena smiled and pulled out a small device that immediately began clicking rapidly. "This is a standard Geiger counter from Earth. It's reading about 847 Roentgens per hour just from the ambient radiation leaking through your station's shielding." She glanced at the device casually. "That's definitely elevated, but nothing I haven't worked with before." Dr. Milani's compound eyes widened. "Dr. Vasquez, that level of radiation should be causing immediate cellular damage to your DNA." "Oh, it probably is," Elena replied cheerfully. "But my cells are pretty good at fixing themselves. I spent 15 years working at the Fukushima Restoration Project, and before that, I was part of the Chernobyl Deep Research Team. You learn to adapt. The test that defied science. Despite every protocol screaming against it, Commander Zethkar found himself authorizing the most dangerous experiment in Galactic Alliance history. Dr. Elena Vasquez would descend to Caridian 4's surface while every monitoring device on the station tracked her vital signs. If she showed any sign of distress, emergency teleportation would extract her immediately. "This is insane," Dr. Milani muttered, her 6 arms dancing across multiple control panels. Her cellular structure should be breaking down just from proximity. "To the transport shuttle." Elena's voice crackled through the communication system as her shuttle approached the planet's surface. Radiation levels are climbing nicely. About 1,200 röntgens per hour now. I'm feeling a slight tingle, but nothing concerning. Zethkar watched the biological monitors in growing disbelief. Human vital signs remained stable. Heart rate slightly elevated, but within normal parameters for someone in a new environment. Brain activity showed curiosity and focus rather than the panic response that extreme radiation exposure should trigger. Dr. Vasquez, he called through the communicator, please describe any symptoms. Nausea, dizziness, weakness. Actually feeling pretty energetic, came the reply. There's something almost refreshing about this level of background radiation. Reminds me of working the deep shifts at the reactor maintenance facility. The shuttle touched down on Caridian 4's scorched surface. Elena emerged wearing nothing more than a standard atmospheric suit, the kind used for mildly hazardous environments. The monitoring equipment screamed warnings as radiation levels peaked at 2,400 röntgens per hour. My ancestors would be proud, Elena said, her voice filled with wonder rather than fear. We've been dealing with radiation since before we discovered fire. Natural uranium deposits, cosmic rays, radon gas seeping up from the ground. Earth is basically a low-level nuclear reactor that's been running for 4 billion years, she began, collecting samples with casual efficiency, as if strolling through a garden rather than walking across a radioactive wasteland that should have killed her instantly. Her movements were steady, her breathing calm, her cellular regeneration actually accelerating according to the bioscanners. The revelation that changed everything. 6 hours later, Elena returned to the station carrying samples that made the radiation detectors overload. She was not only alive but seemed more energetic than when she had left. Dr. Milani ran every medical scan available, searching for signs of cellular damage. This is impossible, the insectoid physicist buzzed, staring at the results. Not only is there no radiation damage, but your cellular repair mechanisms are operating at 340% normal efficiency. Elena laughed. That's nothing unusual for humans in radioactive environments. Our bodies actually perform better with moderate radiation exposure. We use it in medicine all the time. Cancer treatment, diagnostic imaging, sterilization procedures. My grandmother lived to 98 after receiving radioactive isotope therapy. Commander Zethkar's mind reeled as he accessed the human cultural database. What he found redefined his understanding of evolution itself. Humans didn't just survive radiation. They had weaponized it. Their energy production relied on controlled nuclear reactions. Their medical systems deliberately exposed patients to radiation levels that would evacuate entire alien star systems. Dr. Vasquez, he said slowly, your species appears to have evolved on one of the most radioactive planets in known space. Oh, absolutely, Elena confirmed. Earth's natural background radiation is about 150 times higher than the galactic standard. We've been adapting to it for millions of years. What you consider a deadly environment is basically Tuesday afternoon. For us. She held up a soil sample that glowed with contamination. The really interesting thing is what I found down there. This planet isn't dying from radiation, it's healing. The radiation is actually breaking down the toxic compounds left from the war and creating an environment where new life can emerge. Give it another century, and Caridian 4 might be one of the most fertile worlds in this sector. Dr. Milani's wings began humming again, but this time with excitement rather than anxiety. You mean humans could not only survive on radiation-damaged worlds but help them recover? Possibly, Elena said thoughtfully. We'd need to run more tests, but there's definitely something happening here that your standard models don't account for. The radiation isn't just failing to harm the ecosystem, it's actually catalyzing recovery in ways I've never seen before. The discovery that echoed through the galaxy is. Commander Zethkar compiled his report for the Galactic Council. He realized they had stumbled upon something far more significant than advanced technology. They had discovered a species that could thrive in environments that would kill everything else in known space. More than that, humans seemed to have a symbiotic relationship with radiation that could potentially heal worlds damaged by nuclear catastrophe. The implications are staggering, Dr. Milani observed. reviewing Elena's sample analysis. If humans can not only survive but actually benefit from radiation exposure, they could be the key to restoring dozens of dead worlds across the galaxy. Elena was already planning her next descent to the surface. There are patterns in the soil composition that suggest something even more interesting is happening. The radiation isn't just healing the planet randomly, it's following specific pathways that seem almost deliberately designed to maximize recovery. She paused, looking out at the glowing world below. I think we're about to discover that humans aren't just radiation resistant. We might actually be radiation healers, and we just never knew it because Earth was the only radioactive world we'd ever encountered. The research station hummed with new energy as alien scientists began to grasp the true scope of human adaptation. What they had assumed was a species of fragile diplomats was actually a race of beings who could walk safely through the most dangerous environments in the galaxy. Commander Zethkar's final log entry would become legendary among xenobiologists. Today we learned that what we consider uninhabitable death worlds may simply be human colonies waiting to happen. The species we thought needed protection from the universe may actually be the universe's best hope for healing itself. The discovery that changed everything, the deeper mystery unfolds. 3 days into Elena's extended surface mission, the monitoring. Equipment at Research Station Omega-7 registered something that defied every known law of physics. The radiation levels on Caridian 4 were decreasing. Not dramatically, but measurably and consistently, creating expanding zones of reduced contamination centered around Elena's exploration routes. This cannot be accurate, Commander Zethkar muttered, his scaled fingers dancing across the sensor. Calibration controls for the third time. Radiation doesn't simply disappear, it decays according to precise mathematical principles. Dr. Milani's compound eyes reflected the shifting data streams. Commander, I've run every diagnostic available. The sensors are functioning perfectly. The radiation is actually being neutralized somehow. Elena's voice crackled through the communication system from the planet's surface. I'm seeing some fascinating changes down here. Areas I walked through yesterday are showing new plant growth. Small stuff, but definitely alive and thriving. The soil composition is shifting too, becoming more alkaline and nutrient-rich. The implication sent a chill through Zethkar's reptilian spine. If Elena's presence was somehow accelerating the planet's natural healing process, it meant humans weren't just immune to radiation, they were actively counteracting it. This discovery could revolutionize everything the Galactic Alliance understood about environmental recovery. Dr. Vasquez, he called through the communicator. We need you to return to the station immediately. We're detecting changes in the planetary environment that may be connected to your presence. A pause, then Elena's characteristic laugh. Changes? Oh, you mean the healing acceleration. I was wondering when you'd notice that. It happens on Earth, too, around areas with high human activity and radiation exposure. We always assumed it was just improved technology and environmental management, the pattern that revealed human nature. When Elena returned to the station, she brought with her samples that told an incredible story. Plants that shouldn't exist were growing in radioactive soil. Microorganisms that should have been killed by radiation were instead thriving and multiplying. Most remarkably, the radiation itself was being transformed into harmless energy that actually nourished the recovering ecosystem. This is unprecedented, Dr. Milani buzzed, her wings creating harmonious vibrations as she analyzed the data. The molecular structures we're seeing here suggest that human beings emit some kind of field that transforms harmful radiation into beneficial energy. Elena nodded thoughtfully. It would explain a lot about human history. We've always been drawn to radioactive areas. Our early civilizations developed around natural uranium deposits. Our sacred sites often correspond to areas with elevated background radiation. We thought it was coincidence, but maybe we were unconsciously seeking out places where our natural abilities could be most beneficial. Commander Zethkar accessed historical databases, searching for patterns in human development. What he found was astounding. Every major human settlement, every breakthrough in human civilization, every area where humans had thrived for generations showed elevated levels of natural radioactivity. The species hadn't just adapted to radiation, they had been shaped by it and had shaped it in return. Dr. Vasquez, he said slowly, I believe your species may have evolved a form of biological radiation processing that we've never encountered before. You don't just resist radiation, you metabolize it. Like biological nuclear reactors, Elena mused. It would explain why humans have always been so energy efficient compared to our body size. We've been supplementing our food intake with ambient radiation our entire evolutionary history. The test that proved everything to confirm their hypothesis, Elena proposed an experiment that terrified every alien scientist on the station. She would return to Caridian 4's most contaminated zone, the former capital city where radiation levels peaked at over 5,000 Roentgens per hour, and remain there for a full week while they monitored both her condition and the environmental changes. Absolutely not, Commander Zethkar declared. Those radiation levels would kill even you within hours. Elena shook her head. Actually, I think they might energize me. I've been feeling stronger and more alert with each trip to the surface. My reaction time is faster, my thinking is clearer, and I haven't felt this physically capable since I was in my 20s. Against every instinct and protocol, the experiment proceeded. Elena descended to the ruined capital of Caridian 4, where twisted metal spires rose from cracked earth that glowed with deadly energy. She established a base camp in what had once been the city's central plaza, now a crater filled with radioactive debris. The transformation was immediate and dramatic. Within hours, the radiation levels around Elena's camp began dropping. Within 2 days, small green shoots were pushing through the contaminated soil. By the 4th day, insects that shouldn't exist on the planet were buzzing around newly formed water pools that showed no trace of radioactive contamination. This is miraculous, Dr. Milani transmitted from the station. Your biological readings are off the charts. Your cellular activity is 500% above baseline, but there's no indication of stress or damage. If anything, you appear to be in perfect health. Elena's response carried a note of wonder. I feel incredible. It's like the radiation is feeding me somehow. I'm not even eating the food supplies I brought down. My body seems to be sustaining itself directly from the ambient energy. The revelation that united species on the 7th day, Elena's experiment concluded with results that would reshape galactic civilization. She had not only survived in an environment that should have been instantly lethal, she had transformed. The former capital city of Caridian 4 now showed radiation levels comparable to a mildly active natural background. Plants were growing where nothing had lived for centuries. Water sources were running clear for the first time since the nuclear war. Dr. Vasquez, Commander Zethkar called as Elena prepared to return to the station. What you've accomplished here changes everything we understand about environmental recovery and species adaptation. It changes everything we understand about cooperation too, Elena replied. This isn't something humans can do alone. The healing only works because we're working with the natural systems that already exist. We're not imposing our will on the environment, we're joining with it. When Elena returned to the station, she brought representatives of the new life forms that had emerged on Caridian 4. Crystalline formations that could store and channel radiation safely, plant specimens that could thrive in conditions that would kill most known flora, microorganisms that seemed capable of breaking down radioactive compounds and transforming them into harmless nutrients. Dr. Milani's analysis revealed the most remarkable discovery of all. These organisms aren't native to Caridian 4, but they're not from Earth either. They appear to be hybrid life forms that emerge when human biological fields interact with existing ecosystems under high radiation conditions. Symbiosis, Elena said softly. We're not just healing the radiation damage, we're creating new forms of life that can bridge the gap between different evolutionary paths. The future that opened before them. Commander Zethkar's final report to the Galactic Council would become the foundation for a new era of interspecies cooperation. Humans weren't just another diplomatic species to be protected and accommodated. They were biological healers whose presence could restore worlds that had been written off as permanently destroyed. The applications are limitless, Dr. Milani buzzed with excitement. War-torn worlds, industrial accident sites, areas damaged by solar flares or cosmic radiation. Humans could help us heal environmental damage across the entire galaxy. Elena stood at the observation deck looking down at Caridian 4. The planet that had glowed with deadly orange light a week ago now showed patches of green and blue. Clouds were forming in its atmosphere for the first time in centuries. It was still a wounded world, but it was no longer a dying one. There are 47 worlds on the Galactic Council's condemned list, she said thoughtfully. All of them written off as uninhabitable due to radiation damage. With proper preparation and cooperation, we could visit every one of them. Commander Zethkar nodded slowly. It would require unprecedented cooperation between species. Shared resources, combined knowledge, joint expeditions to worlds most of us consider dead. That's what makes it perfect, Elena smiled. Healing isn't something you do alone. It's something you do together, with patience and hope and the understanding that life always finds a way to continue. As the research station prepared to depart Caridian 4, now renamed New Hope by joint agreement, Elena made one final transmission to Earth. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez reporting from the first successful radiation healing mission. We've learned that humans aren't just survivors in a hostile universe. We're healers in a universe that needs healing. And we're not alone in that work. The response from Earth was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of human volunteers were already preparing for similar missions to other damaged worlds. The Galactic Alliance had found not just a new ally, but a new hope for restoration and renewal throughout the galaxy. Commander Zethkar's species had evolved to be warriors. Dr. Milani's people had become great scientists. But humans, it seemed, had evolved to be something even more powerful. They had become healers of worlds, bridges between species, and harbingers of hope in the darkest corners of space. The universe suddenly seemed a much less frightening place.